Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, and that means it's time for Monday Night Raw. And of course, that means it's time for the Wrestling Inc. Monday Night Raw after show. I'm Jack Farmer. I'm joined by two of the very best guys with names that start with the letter J. Also, we got Jimmy and Justin. Guys, how was your weekend? Jimmy, I haven't seen you in a while. How was your weekend?
Without spilling the beans, it was a birthday weekend for yours truly. So, like I've said before, when it comes to marriage, I've outkicked my coverage, and man, I had a really great weekend. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, was this the big 3-0?
Sure. Let's stick with that.
And then Justin, I see you're wearing the Washington Commanders gear. You guys got a new QB. Are you excited?
Talk to me in like October, November next year. We'll see. That was a big news in my sports world. And then hockey trade deadline today in the NHL. So my Caps trying to see if they can make a move while their window's still open. And my weekend we had IWC wrestling. This past Saturday night, it was our 21st anniversary. It marked 21 years. It's one of the longest wrestling companies in the United States that's ran consecutively almost every month for 21 straight years. Pretty much any talent you can think of that's come about in the last 21 years at some point stepped through IWC. Some even trained there, which is a real knowledge. So shout out to IWC. It's had 3 owners in 21 years. All 3 have collectively and supportively passed it on to the next. So this has been it's truly been a family and team effort.
Yeah, a lot of great names have come through there. Anyone who's watching the show, check it out. Look them up online. What is it? Do they have, what's their Twitter handle?
At IWC Wrestling. Let me make sure as I say that I'm not wrong. And it is not yes, IWC Wrestling. It is not Internet Wrestling Community. It is the International Wrestling Cartel. They trained Wardlow, trained Britt Baker, trained Elias, Joaquin Wilde, you might have known as DJZ or Zima Ion. Mm-hmm. Fun fact: Jimmy Korderas has reffed a match in IWC Wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So that's how you know it's legit, by the way. But we got a lot of stuff to unpack today. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, we don't really have a lot of stuff to unpack. I'm gonna say it. We're breaking news here. I thought it was kind of a ho-hum episode of Raw, to be honest with you. But before we get into all of that, we have some news, and this was announced on Raw, but I think we need to break it here at the top of the show. It's probably one of the biggest stories in all of pro wrestling right now. Veer will arrive on April 4th. You guys, mark your calendar. Jimmy, are you excited to finally see Veer at Raw?
He's coming.
Yeah, well, let's say okay. I mean, this has been in the works for a while, from my understanding. I mean, like, look,
it has been in the works for a while.
Yeah, I mean, like, when was it? How long has it been since it was announced that he was coming? I mean,
October, I think.
Yeah, and now we're mid-March. It's almost April. It's April 4th. He's not even coming to WrestleMania. He's coming the Raw after WrestleMania, which is a huge Raw. The Raw after WrestleMania is a big show. But at the same time, as much as I was looking forward to him back in October, I have kind of lost a lot of that interest, unfortunately.
Yeah, Justin, I got to ask you real quick, and I'll let you give your overall thoughts. But just curious what you think when he comes out. Is he going to get a big reaction, or is it going to be, are they going to love it? Are they going to boo him? What do you think based on just how long this is drawn out? What kind of reaction do you think he's going to get coming through the curtain?
Well, that's a great question. I think on the night after Raw, or night after Mania Raw, I think he's going to get reaction. They're going to make noise. That crowd always makes noise. So that's good. The worst thing as a performer, especially a young performer with him, is coming out and nobody caring. They're just crickets. They're going to make it might be satirical. It might be somewhat of a joking manner, because we were all making the joke that he's just been coming for 6 months and whatever. But he will at least get a reaction. So that'll at least fill a gap, and there won't be silence. But I do feel for this guy, and maybe he's going. There's a lot of pressure. They've done this to themselves. They could have just. They could have just, after 2 months, they realized, okay, we really don't have a firm creative plan for when we want him to come in. They could have just stopped it. That's not new. We saw vignettes for Elias last year that just mysteriously stopped. They could have stopped it. We would have talked about it for a week or two, and then it would have gone away. But they consciously kept it going every single week, made sure to allot 30 seconds of time every week on Raw to do a vignette for him. So there's pressure on him. He's going to have to come in, and they'll probably give him, Jimmy, what do you think? They're probably going to give him the old school, what they did with Ryback, what they did with Braun Strowman. He's going to squash some guys for a little while.
Yeah.
If he looks impressive in the ring, that'll buy him some more time. But eventually, he's going to have to cut a promo, or somebody's going to cut a promo for him, and there's going to have to be an actual feud of substance. So I really hope that the reason they made the effort to consciously keep doing this is that they finally did come up with a plan, and night after Mania, where everything resets, maybe he targets a big name.
Or a big man, which someone will talk about. I know we're talking about later.
Yeah.
Because I could see those two paths intertwining. I don't know if it will be as soon as the night after WrestleMania, but eventually down the road, I could see that happening.
Well, hopefully it works out for him. I wonder how much time we spent watching Veer promos if you were to add them all up together. I wonder what the run time is. It's got to be like an hour and a half.
Well, let's think. They're 30 seconds each week. We figure 4 weeks in a month and go back to October. I mean, we can probably pull this math off pretty quickly.
Yeah. So if you think October, November, December, January, February,
so it's 2 minutes a month,
March, April. So let's say, 2 minutes a month. That's not as long as I thought it was going to be.
It sounds longer, doesn't it? But then you figure it's a 30-second promo segment or vignette, and then you got 4 of them a month. That's true.
It's longer than your average Goldberg match.
It's true.
Good point.
It's all longer than your average 2 Goldberg matches. King Rail in the chat asks, mask stipulation match, start of Dom getting his mask.
Ooh.
I was actually thinking that. Has anyone ever donned a mask after they've debuted? Like in a not like in a Mr. America kind of way, but like in a legitimate, like, I'm now a masked wrestler.
I'm trying to think back. I don't know, Justin, your memory's better than mine. I can't think of anyone that's
in the United States. Yeah. I can't think of any. And really, I know what you're saying, Jack. We're not talking about goofy match. We're talking about like Lucha Libre, and that really didn't come into the United States until the mid '90s. So not in the U.S. Maybe, I'm sure somebody with the knowledge, maybe somewhere, maybe in Mexico or somewhere else around the world, somebody came in fresh face and they were given the mask as a passing the torch. But in America, I can't think of it now.
Right.
John Cena's bald spot says Veer coming April 4th, but they didn't announce the year, so maybe next year. That would be the greatest thing.
What if they would have advertised it for Friday, April 1st on SmackDown as an April Fool's joke?
Oh, but if you think about it,
that'd be great.
April 4th in 2023, I think, falls on a Sunday.
Ooh.
Well, so it could be at Mania still.
At Mania next year.
Maybe.
Even more pressure.
After a year more of vignettes, that'd be a lot of pressure. But speaking of Mania and people who made debut there, Cody Rhodes' sister said some stuff on Twitter this week. I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Cody Rhodes' sister says that their father, the late WWE Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes, would be proud if he could see what's next. Teal Rhodes took to Twitter on Sunday and shared a photo of Cody and Dusty and potentially gave some insight into Cody's future, saying, I knew my old man best, and I know he would be beaming with pride if he could see what's next. Jimmy, any predictions on what that could mean, or is this just well wishes?
I think she's trying to stir the pot a little bit, because I don't know how in depth Cody is with his sister as far as giving her the knowledge of what is coming up and what they have planned for him. I would love to see. The most interesting aspect for me is, we've been talking for so long about released WWE superstars or superstars who did not re-sign with WWE and going over to AEW. This is the first big name talent coming the other way. So this is what's got me intrigued more than anything, because you talk to anybody who remembers Cody's previous stint in the WWE and how, for lack of a better term, inadequately he was used, or his talents were appreciated, for lack of a better term. I'm curious to see, is he going to have a big time prominent role in his return to WWE? And if so, is it going to be much more than just an on-air talent? Is he going to have some responsibilities backstage? Is there kind of like some, maybe, we haven't seen Hunter around NXT for a while. Maybe he's going to have a role to play there in developmental.
And that's what I think, Jimmy. I think you're right. I think you're circling right there because, like he just left a position where he was an EVP, right? Like I don't think if he goes back to the WWE, even if he gets booked and wins the world title in the next year, I mean, yeah, of course Dusty would be proud, but like this sounds like Dusty. Obviously, Dusty was a performer, but Dusty was Dusty was a well-renowned booker and a businessman and ran territories, and so I have to think that it's something along those lines. You would all, I mean, it's like again, he just left an office executive position, so maybe he's not moving necessarily into. I think the NXT thing's a real interesting prediction because obviously Dusty worked with the early NXT, so and with who knows what Triple H's situation and health or whatever. So if Cody is coming back and he's fulfilling a title or a role that his father once held, and he's going to try to take it to the next level, while also being booked as a top guy for Vince, that I think could be cause for this kind of a tweet, this kind of but it's more than, it's not just, oh, Cody's going back to WWE, he's going to win a title and he's going to get paid a lot of money. I mean, I often wonder, it's going to have to be more than him just being a talent for him to make the amount of money that he just walked away from in AEW, because I have to think, again, as a talent at EVP, the merchandise, he was doing stuff with TBS, like he probably walked away from a good bit of money there. So there has to be more than just being a talent. He's going to, I'm having to imagine it's going to be something into management, and the NXT thing fits perfectly considering the state of things right now.
Yeah, if that's the case, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in NXT, because NXT, obviously, as you're alluding to, kind of different than it was a little bit ago before it became 2.0. So it'll be interesting to see how that all stacks up and how that plays out and grows out. And speaking of growing out, our sponsor this week is Manscaped. Can I get a round of applause, everyone? Today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped has launched their ultra premium collection. Believe it or not, it's not. It's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code WINC20. We all know how essential the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 is for that precise trim below the waist. Their advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts to your most delicate areas, but now you can enhance your perfect grooming routine with their ultra premium collection. This package includes the Manscaped Premium Deodorant. No, not for your balls, for your stanky armpits. This deodorant dries clear, is aluminum free, and smells like their signature scent, hydrating body moisturizer. If you have tattoos or issues with dry skin, it's designed to keep skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. Body wash to lather you up with their infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gel. 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner to clean up your scalp with an easy one step, plus a free gift, a 3-pack set of lip balm that's made up with ingredients such as vitamin E, peppermint, eucalyptus oil to keep those chappers feeling moist. That's a 4-product plus gift inside the ultra premium collection. What a score. All these products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free, and best ingredients with zero compromise. I'd recommend using the products in this order. You hop in the shower, get a scrub-a-dub-dub, that body with the Manscaped body wash. You lather your hair up with the 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner to keep your noggin togging. I don't even know what togging is, but I guess that's what it is. Dry off and spray on the hydrating body moisturizer to reinvigorate dry skin. Put on the Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons and pop that Manscaped lip balm on. No one is out here kissing those chapped up lips. Get dressed after is optional, of course, but wear one great scent all day long. Get the Ultra Premium Collection hot off the shelves. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code WINC20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code WINC20 at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle thanks to Manscaped. I am a huge believer in this. I got all sorts of Manscaped stuff in my shower and bathroom. I use it all the time. And I know you guys are believers in it as well.
Yeah, I love it. I was just showing off the new hydrating body spray, and I mean everything. Everything. The products are quality. The packaging that comes in is quality. My wife loves the scent, so that's a bonus.
And as Justin knows, as I don't want to get censored here, but as someone who suffers from the Greek curse of being excessively hairy everywhere except where you want it, it is a perfect product.
Yeah, it works. Definitely try it out again. Manscaped.com, and then use the promo code WINC20. Tim Allen in the chat says Raw after Mania crowd will explode with excitement along with Veer once he finally came.
I mean, again, they're gonna make noise, you know.
But like Justin said, is it going to be that sarcastic? Oh, finally, and they're just popping because it finally happened.
Yeah,
Isn't that why we all do it?
And he's been working. Look, he's been working in front of the live crowds for the last couple, probably over a month now. He's been on the main event tapings. So hopefully, too, he doesn't disappoint when he gets in there. I mean, that's the other thing. The Mania crowds are always they're harsh. You know, they're the most diehard of people that have traveled all around the world to be in this case Dallas. So they're harsh. So they, you know, if he comes out there and he fumbles and stumbles a little bit, it's going to be hard to recover from that. So I really hope they have him prepared. And again, the creative's going to hope it's not. I mean, I hope it's not just, you know, they made an attempt. Remember years ago, Lars Sullivan. Remember was that who I'm thinking of? Lars. You know, they made an attempt to try to have him be somebody who's going to, you know, make an impact. I hope they try to go that route, because I think that's going to do a lot more favors than, again, let them. Okay, we did 6 months of coming vignettes, now let's do 6 months of squashes.
Right.
I'll be checked out.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the show. But before we do, as always, if you're watching the show on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being in the live chat. Thanks for if you're listening to the podcast afterwards, the 5-star reviews, like, comment, share, subscribes, leave a little comment and leave a nice thing about the Triple J team. I love to read the little comments that say nice things about us. So 5-star review and then say some nice stuff there. And if you're in the chat, thank you so much for joining us, whether it is Anthony Y, Ricky, Zaldivar, Bit Milligan, Headlock Heel, Michael the Virus, DMT, trying to just scroll through a few more of these. Jax is in the chat. Thanks so much, Jax. Rocky, good to see you again. As always, everybody, thanks so much for being in the chat with us live. Stephen Mark, I always get your name wrong.
Marcachilli.
Marcachilli. I'm going to get that right one of these days. Stephen Marcachilli says in the chat, does Cody versus Rollins open up WrestleMania Saturday?
Yeah. No, that's an interesting idea to have them open up WrestleMania on Saturday. But what if you were to make people wait just one more day longer? You know, you go through all Saturday, Seth Rollins trying to, you know, have his WrestleMania moment on Saturday and keeps getting, you know, the rug pulled out from under him. Then on Sunday, he finally makes it out to the ring, and there you go. Bam. Save it for Sunday.
You know, that would be interesting. Obviously, I know I don't want to spoil the ending once we get to the end of Raw, but, you know, like he could, you know, whine and cry again next week here in Pittsburgh, and Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville can come out and say, we're being told from management, even up higher, we're being told from the board, we're being told from the man, we think we might have somebody for you, but we can't confirm yet. But show up, pack your gear, show up to Mania, and Saturday, perhaps wearing street clothes, he finds out who his opponent is, and his opponent will then, and they'll have the match the next day, so they can get a 2-day payoff out of this. Now, that's one way to do it. I don't think that's what's going to happen. If in fact these two are going to have a match, I do think it will be on Saturday, simply because a match I think that could rival it in terms of the work rate and style is AJ Styles versus Edge. Spoiler alert to Raw tonight, and that's going to take place on Sunday. So I don't think you put both of those matches on the same night.
Well, Antoine Fair in the chat says, well, just what do you want to do with Veer? What do you want to do with Veer? He can't be an established superstar first week.
Why not?
Yeah. Coming out of the gate looking like a big deal. If you look like a star right out of the gate, then people, you know, perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not?
Especially if it's someone that is going to be post Mania gone for a little bit, like an Edge who probably isn't going to be around much after Mania for a little bit. Have him get taken out by Veer. Boom, bing bang boom. I don't know. We start the show off, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe before WrestleMania we got Stone Cold coming out there, put on a little bit of weight, I think, but the guy still came out there, still has it. Justin, I loved this bit. I thought it was great how he used the what chants against the crowd. This was fun, and I think I just enjoyed it. How did you feel about old KO doing the old dressing up as his opponent bit?
Well, it was a tremendous start to Raw, and what's always a very hot crowd in Chicago. And I was tooting my own Twitter horn. I tweeted this last week that in response to people asking me things, I said, no, I don't think we're going to see Stone Cold until WrestleMania. And you don't need to. And quite frankly, that's more of the attraction. I said, but I would love in the next 2 weeks, meaning tonight or next week, for Austin's music to hit and for KO to troll the audience. And he did just that, but he did it even better than what was in my head, because I just thought he hit the music, everybody pop, and then what have you, and then he walks out, and then it transitioned to his music. He took a step further, doing the cosplay and cutting the whole promo as Stone Cold, just defeatist that he has to fight Kevin Owens. And then, I mean, people, if you did not watch it, I urge you, go find this, because WWE, as their production's always top notch. They got 8 cameras or whatever it is live on Raw. All these cameras are grabbing all these people who are almost in tears. They can't believe it. And then you just see complete disappointment wipe down their face. And then he did it to him again 5 minutes later when he starts trash talking and running down, cutting a traditional wrestling promo, which would usually invite the opponent to now come and shut him up. The music hit again. Owens reacted as if, oh my God, this is the real one. And he did it. I mean, it was a work of beauty. It really was.
Jimmy, this was done so well. Even the bits of him not being able to catch the beers. And I feel like this was as people who are fans of Stone Cold, this was done perfectly, I thought, in how he mocked it, how he did it just right, but also messing up the parts he was supposed to mess up and doing things wrong where he was supposed to.
No, absolutely. And, weekly, usually Raw starts out with a promo segment. And I get sometimes it feels formulaic, but tonight they hit a home run with it. And the biggest thing for me is that not only did you see the disappointment in that audience, Kevin Owens got legitimate heel heat from that audience, especially now in today's day and age where it's cool to like the bad guy, especially in an audience like Chicago, who's an educated audience. They know their stuff. To get that kind of heel reaction from that audience is priceless. And like you said, the tossing of the beers and that sort of stuff, everything just absolutely worked. And the best part about it is it wasn't long and drawn out. Mm-hmm. It almost felt like it was the perfect amount of time.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I thought that too. Because a lot of times they'll do those bits and they'll try to drag it on for 30 minutes or something. But yeah, it was like he did it. He hit all the points. Like I said, my favorite part of the night was him saying what to the crowd, because I was thinking now the crowd gets to hear how obnoxious that is.
And Jimmy's right, the fact that it's Chicago adds something to it. I mean, Chicago is always loud, but it's the personality of that crowd. I don't want to say like they're a little high and mighty, but they are a crowd, again, that is an educated crowd. They're not going to get duped for the more traditional tricks, right? Or at least they don't think they're going to. Right. So when you're able to work them, and again, not once, but twice in a 5-minute span, they're just the kind of passionate fan that's going to get that much. They're going to get that much angrier, and they did, and you just felt it. And I almost kind of wish you would have done it here in Pittsburgh next week, because one, selfishly for me, but two, also because I don't know what he's going to do next week. He needs to keep this momentum going. What do you do next week to top that, to keep the momentum going?
Tremendous.
Yeah, next week's going to be very interesting with Raw in general. And as we go on, we'll talk about it. Brian Cyrus in the chat says, nice to know Tim Allen watches the Wrestling Inc. podcast. LOL. Veer's going to come out dancing like they did with Brodus Clay at this point.
I'd be surprised.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. But then again, I have seen some crazy stuff over the years, so you never know.
Yeah. And then is it Jerry D12345 says, love your work, guys. Raw has gotten so much better in recent times. It was borderline unwatchable for most of last year. It has its good points. I always get made fun of for saying I think it's doing okay, but
no, I agree with you. I mean, like let's be honest. There's no show out there that's perfect. Yeah. You know, you can make little critiques about anything. You know, there's always something, but instead of looking for the stuff that is not so good, try to enjoy the stuff that does work. And that opening segment, like we said, it worked big time. Enjoy it. It's set the right tone for the night for me.
Raw's 3 hours, so I've settled the fact you're never going to have a show that's going to be a perfect, entertaining all 3 hours. Even when they have Austin and Rock and Vince, and they do the legend shows and the nostalgia shows. Even then, there's lag points in the 3 hours. It's just not meant to have a weekly 3 hour show, but it is what it is. It's what they get paid for. So I always try to look at it as, okay, it's a show that's 15 segments. If I can find 10 solid segments, so 2 hours worth. If between matches and character and promos, if I can get 10 out of the 15, then that's kind of how I try to scale Raw. I try to omit the Tozawa and Tamina segment. Maybe I try to omit a few.
How dare you? That's the best part.
I basically give them 5. I basically give them 5 strikes. It's 5 strikes and you're out. And if they can hit the other 10 segments, then I think it's a win.
Yeah, I would say it's like SNL. You're gonna have good sketches and bad sketches every week. You can't expect it to be all great. But King Rail in the chat says Seth on this SmackDown and Cody shows up. I'm hoping. I don't know if it'll be on.
Yeah, I don't know. The longer they because again, the crowd tonight was chanting Cody's name because the rumors are out there and they're rampant. So I would hold off as long as possible.
And it's not going to be SmackDown. This is clearly they want this to be on a Monday night. They want this to be a Raw built feud,
right?
For a match.
Well, as we talk about the Rollins stuff, I'm gonna get to this next part, and I want to separate Rollins part because I want to get to that in a little bit. But for now, we got the Mysterios versus the Dirty Dogs. So 2 teams that were on NXT 2.0 last week, making their jump to the main roster. Hopefully they make it work for them. So they're having their match. It's a solid match, but in the end, Dominic gets the win. Ziggler gets a shot in after, and then Miz takes Ray's mask. Jimmy, I want to start with you. I don't think this is exactly the kind of thing that we're going to remember, like a beer truck spraying down the corporation. But I'm looking at this. I feel like every single person involved got moved forward in their rivalry towards WrestleMania. I think it actually did a great job of doing what it was supposed to do.
No, that makes perfect sense what you just said. And see, that's the challenging thing. And it goes to that old saying that you can still get stories over without certain individuals not having to get over. And even though, Dominic got the clear and convincing win, Miz got his heat back. And there's another guy who we talk about, the cool kids want to cheer the bad guys. Miz gets legit heel heat. And those who are well versed in the lucha history know that stealing a luchador's mask is kind of very taboo. It's on the bad side. Let's put it that way. And he crossed that line, and now he's going to give it to his partner Logan Paul to wear. Wow.
Yeah. And that's going to be obnoxious, and everyone's going to hate it, and I'm going to love it. But Justin, again, we'll kind of batch together the Rollins stuff together in a little bit, but for now, just the match portion. Any key takeaways? I mean, it's do you think this is going to lead to some kind of match versus hair, or do you think the mask is going to play a part going forward, or is this a one-off kind of thing for just this show?
I think it is what it is. I think it was just meant to get the heat, like Jimmy said. I don't think it's going to translate into a stipulation at Mania. To the points earlier, I could see Dominic eventually donning a mask, especially after his father retires. I thought Dominic had actually a nice little sequence of offense. I mean, he got a little quick, and things weren't as crisp, but I didn't think it looked bad or sloppy or dangerous. He was just really moving, and I thought that was a really nice sequence. I made a note of. So yeah, I mean, this was I think this was a well done segment, and Ray has been unmasked before if you really follow his career, but it doesn't take away still the symbolic nature of what was being done here. So I thought, I thought this was good. And yeah, I mean, if Paul comes out with that mask on at next week or at Mania, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge heat.
So the thing that obviously got a lot of people talking on Twitter and whatnot is Seth Rollins comes out and the microphone doesn't work. And then we get him backstage saying, "Hey, why are you trying to cut me off? I want a match." And eventually he goes out and he confronts AJ Styles. Now, Jimmy, I want to get your take on this because you've been there. Was this the mic not working? I got to know, was that part of the show or was that them improvising when something went wrong?
No, I think that was designed intentionally to get Seth Rollins into a different plane, to get him more angry than he already is, to set the tone, so to speak. So I don't think it was accidental, because if it was accidental, it would have been much more of an issue. Let's put it that way.
Ooh,
Yeah.
And I want to know what would have happened.
Yeah, this
something would have happened, and that would have been in the gorilla position or in the tech area.
I guess, yeah, they maybe would have had, worst case, someone run out with a microphone or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This just, to me, felt like, he's, the man's keeping him down. He can't get a Mania match. He needs a path to Mania. Now they can't even give him a good microphone. And yeah, this was a good, just piling on to the woe is Seth Rollins story.
Yeah.
So and he comes out later and he confronts AJ. AJ Styles is saying basically, I accept my match with Edge. We're going to do it at WrestleMania. And then Rollins comes out and does the thing again. I'm going to take your spot at WrestleMania. Justin, in general, I don't really like the idea of someone like trying to get a match at Mania, because so many people just say, I challenge you at WrestleMania, and that's it. And so I always feel like, just challenge someone, Seth. That's all you got to do. That's what Omos is doing. And we'll talk about that in a second. But because Rollins seems so unhinged and the way he's going about it, I'm kind of enjoying this. Are you liking this journey we're going on to get to WrestleMania with Rollins?
I'm okay with it because I think I know the ending, and the ending's exciting. We think we know what the match is going to be. We don't know how it's going to be revealed to us. So I certainly, that's a perfectly valid point. just pull a name out of a hat and call them out, and you get the match, right? And it's also, you have to look at it too, and I guess we won't be able to really judge this until Mania is over. Like, if in fact it is going to be Seth and Cody, the reality is, Cody's coming in and working a guy who just lost however many weeks in a row. Granted, he's losing to top guys. He's losing to Kevin Owens. He's losing to AJ Styles. So it's not like he's jobbing out to guys beneath him, but there's a lapse. There's an argument for how logical it is, how whatever. But again, I think people are going to look past it as, Seth lost to KO. It wasn't like he got knocked out of, the way they did the finish tonight. He lost only because of DQ, because of outside, so he's not getting buried. He's not getting put in the ground and put 6 feet with dirt on top. He's just that 1 second slower. So I think between that, and people know that the match is just supposed to be just a kind of a classic, somewhat of a new dream match. And Cody's revitalized. So it depends on how cynical you want to be when you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy, any thoughts on Rollins' bumpy road so far? We'll talk about the main event at the end, but just the setup and kind of his approach to getting a match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, like you said, I find it interesting that he has to work to get a match at WrestleMania, especially someone who's been established in there so long has to fight for a match at WrestleMania, while like you said, others just say, hey, I'll see you at WrestleMania. And
yeah,
you do. So, but I do like the approach that you have to earn your spot at WrestleMania. And the WrestleMania spot is not a foregone conclusion. It's not a given that everybody in the company is going to appear at WrestleMania. And that's what the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is for. You know what I mean? So to speak. Mm-hmm. So I do like that aspect of it. But again, like you said, it does send kind of like a mixed message.
For the past few years, and I may be mistaken, it feels like there's always one person trying to get a match at Mania. Like Kevin Owens did it 1 year, and I think John Cena was kind of doing it 1 year. I wonder if that's just a thing they do. One person has to try to find a way to get a match. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're going to use one person, make it one person who you're trying to elevate, as opposed to someone who has been the guy.
Yeah. It does feel like they would go out of their way for Seth Rollins, but we'll talk about that in a second. Someone who also wants a match at WrestleMania, but he's having troubles for a different reason. Omos, he breaks out a few more moves and dominates Apollo Crews and Aziz, and stacks them Roman Reigns style, and says whoever it's going to be, he wants a match. And Corey Graves says, not a mortal man. So get the Undertaker speculation going. There was actually a report. WWE is reportedly planning a singles match for Omos, not the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, as a lot of us thought it would be. Omos, he quickly beat his former tag team partner AJ Styles earlier this year, and it was reported then that WWE had big plans for the big man on the road to WrestleMania. Now, WrestleVotes reports that as of now, there is a singles match planned for Omos at WrestleMania. The report did not name who Omos will go against at WrestleMania, but it was noted that the opponent may surprise people. There was no hint at who the opponent might be, and it was stated that the opponent will not be Cody Rhodes or Veer, for whatever it's worth. Leaves a lot of speculation. Justin, any guesses on who it's a singles match?
Yeah. So then after that story came out, Fightful Select is reporting that they're hearing that at least the pitched opponent is Bobby Lashley, but have not been able to confirm if he's even medically cleared to go. As if everybody remember, he's dealing with a shoulder injury that he needed to get fixed. So that's the pitch. I mean, you'd think if Omos came out here and just did this promo, you'd think that they have it figured out if whoever's opponent's going to be. So again, whether Lashley shows up next Monday and answers the call, or if this is truly a Omos issues an open challenge at Mania and Lashley makes his return at Mania, but that's supposedly the direction they want to go in. And which I guess the next question is, well, what's the finish to that? I mean, Lashley, the poor guy, has been, he's been the workhorse carrying the company, especially through the last 2 years of the pandemic, through unusual times, but has always had to be sacrificed, whether it be to Brock or so. Is that his role? Is he there to make Omos look like $1 million and give Omos a win? Is Omos just supposed to go toe to toe and go the distance, but then Lashley's veteran ability outsmarts him? I'm really curious how you book that match, because Omos is still pretty green. Let's not beat around the bush. He's a big guy. He is a spectacle to see. He's a legit 7'3", 7'4", but he's still very green. So
No, and especially with someone like a Bobby Lashley, like you said, who allegedly needs shoulder surgery. I mean, is it possible that he can get through a match before, having the surgery done without doing any further damage to that shoulder? We don't know the extent of that damage. And you could work it where, he let's say Omos comes out at WrestleMania and makes the open challenge, and here comes Bobby in his arms in a sling and everybody's trying to stop him and that sort of stuff. And, make it a story that, Bobby shouldn't be in the ring with anybody, let alone this monster. And then, there's a reason to keep him off TV for a while so he can get the surgery done. But like you said, Justin, he is a little green, and I don't know if you want to risk him in there with someone who has an injury that needs to be treated and without making it worse. So to speak.
Especially someone like Omos. Like if it was a smaller person, I feel like it'd be easier to get around that. But you're going to have to do some work if you're going to beat someone like Omos and make it visually believable after him being so dominant for so long as well. So interesting to see. I wonder if it'll be a legend coming back too.
Well, I want to give some love real quick to the chat, because the chat's trying to throw a few that kind of hit on all different speculations. Trevor saying Omos versus Kane, so there's a legend option for you. Killer Styles saying Omos versus Goldberg would work. So just the people thinking.
Yeah, if it's Goldberg and he loses, I think Goldberg's used up all of his credit at that point.
Sorry to interrupt. Peter P mentioned the Great Khali. I don't see that one happening.
Ooh, what?
Is he able to wrestle still? I know nothing about what's going on with Great Khali at this point.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say this, because Khali is technically a veteran and actually is a former world champion. But when you mix green with green, what color does that make? Like that's a
Well,
not the color of money green. Let's put it that way.
More like baby spitting up baby food kind of green.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got in the chat John Cena's bald spot saying, I feel like WWE will build next week Raw around Brock and Roman. Could see Seth confronting Brock, trying to get a match. Don't see them having Cody debut. I feel like at this point, you just wait till Mania for Cody. We've gotten this far. But we've got a tag. Well, we got a tag team match. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Before that, Carmella and Zelina get into a fight backstage. Now, this team has been teasing a breakup and teasing problems for a long time, but at the end of it all, the good guys get the win, or wait, who? No, the bad guys got the win. Shayna and Natalya got the win. But then Zelina attacks the good guys, and Carmella attacks the bad guys, and they're friends again. Justin, this was a little bit of a. I always think it's weird when once people start, once people start hitting each other, I feel like okay, they're not allowed to get back together. Like you can argue, but once you actually fight, I feel like that means the team is done. I felt betrayed a little bit in the storytelling.
Yeah, the overall coherency in a lot of the women's booking lately has been kind of all over the map. It's unfortunate because we had a couple years. We're still going to have Charlotte and Ronda, but there was the Revolution movement, but I kind of feel like in some ways we're back to a little bit of we're on the road to Mania. Let's scramble on how many 8 women or 10 women things can we do just to get some faces on the card. And then, oh, by the way, is it going to be the sacrificial lamb that gets drastically cut, when time is running behind on the show? I just don't have a lot of interest, and it has nothing to do with it being women's wrestling or with any of the individual ladies themselves. A lot of them all bring something to the table, but this is just the presentation of it. I just don't care much. It's
a story that I don't, and the whole, we see it all the time. Can they coexist? If I hear that term one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do, but, and that's how it's feeling now. Can they get along? Can they coexist? And you see them, like you said, getting into it backstage, and then all of a sudden we're all hunky dory, and without an explanation, without any, just didn't work for me.
Yeah. I always feel like once they start fighting, now they're supposed to be, they're not friends anymore. And so when they got back together, then I thought like, oh, that was literally a waste of time. That whole segment didn't mean anything, but I'm sure they'll break up eventually. That's Brian Barry in the chat says Taker confronts Omos. I love the visual of that, but I don't know if I think he's.
No, I don't think so.
That.
Yeah, what's your end game there? Like you're trying to get Omos over. Taker's not going on his back on Hall of Fame weekend. So
no.
I could see Taker coming out and helping Austin if the KO show turns into a brouhaha of some heels and Austin needs a friendly Texan. I could see that to end of night one. You always have the Hall of Fame class featured at Mania. So I think that, and Taker could come out. I think he'd agree to do some choke slams and some big boots and have a toast of some new Austin beer. But that's as much as that's the way you use Taker on his Hall of Fame weekend. You don't have him go nose to nose with Omos and have Omos you do whatever to him. That's not happening.
Yeah, because that would just make you feel bad if Omos took out Undertaker, and then you can't have Undertaker take out Omos because that would just destroy everything they've worked for. But Becky Lynch, she shows up and she sits down in a chair and reminds us that she beat Bianca Belair in 26 seconds and relinquished the title, but she never lost it, just in case you guys forgot about that. She basically talks about how she'll sell her soul, and she kind of implies that she's going to take Bianca's hair as well. Jimmy, are we getting a hair versus? They can't cut Bianca's hair, can they?
Well, I guess they can, technically speaking, but at the same time, that's part of her identity right now. That's a major part of her identity, and especially recently when they showed her whipping the other ladies with her hair and having that noise in the background, and even making a point stating that the sound was not enhanced, so to speak. So I don't see it going at any time soon, but I can say possibly it becoming a hair versus hair match where if Becky doesn't mind getting a little bit cut off, hey.
Yeah, you can threaten the hair to be cut, and that there's some real stakes there because Bianca's hair is so much of her marketing, so much of her brand. I think the marketing department would probably slap their foreheads if they got wind that Bianca was cutting the hair. You can do the threat, and I could actually see Becky. I mean, Becky and Seth both collectively are kind of doing this. They're dressing in crazy ass outfits and they're what. So, I mean, I could see Becky being willing to alter her look a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a thing, and Jimmy could probably speak on it way more and probably can give better examples. It's a thing in wrestling if you're a savvy worker that maybe you're trying to change your hair color, trying to change the gear, trying to change little things so you can have a new action figure made, or So a new T-shirt can be updated, and that means more. That is a thing. But this is not one of those things where this is way too early in her career, Bianca, to just take such an asset that is so unique to her away. So you can threaten it, but boy, I would not follow through with it.
No. So we get Brian Barry in the chat, says, I'm ready to see Edge's entrance at Mania. I bet they're going to have some killer entrances this year at Mania. Because they haven't been able to really go all out with their entrances in quite some time. So I am very excited to see what the entrances look like at WrestleMania this year. We just continue forward. Austin Theory versus Finn Balor. I can't remember if the U.S. title is actually on the line in this one, but Pat McAfee comes out and is just fantastic on commentary, as he always is. He's just such a special entertainer. He's so entertaining. Everything he does, he distracts Austin Theory, and Finn gets the win. Again, another one of those things. I don't think we're going to remember it, Justin, for a very long time, but kind of did its job. It kept us knowing that Theory and McAfee hate each other. Balor got a title defense.
Yeah, that's all you really need to say. And yeah, Pat's tremendous. I'm glad Pat's getting a little Monday night airtime. Pat's one. I'm looking forward to this, actually. I mean, again, if obviously Pat's a Pittsburgh guy here. He's an entertaining character, but he proved it with his match in NXT against Adam Cole. Pat's put in some training, obviously he's an athletic guy. He was in the NFL for God's sake. Even if he is a punter, you still need to be athletic. He's an athletic guy. He loves business. He loves the wrestling business. So he's studied. He's a student of the game. That showed when he had his match against Adam Cole. So I'm looking forward to this match. I think that what he and Austin Theory are going to do might surprise some people. And then when you throw in the wild card of does Mr. McMahon make his presence known, that just all bets are off there.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee, shockingly good when he wrestled Adam Cole, baby. I was like, that's not fair. You're not allowed to be that good right away. Come on now. But Jimmy, what are some of your takeaways from this? Getting to see, we're Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee eventually, and of course Finn Balor with the championship.
No, I'm enjoying Pat McAfee immensely. I'm enjoying his commentary for one on SmackDown, but at the same time, you can see that he, like Justin said, he truly loves what he's doing out there, and it shows. And he's putting everything into it, and people are invested in him. They're invested in Pat McAfee, and he's almost got people stop questioning. Oh, can he do it in the ring? Can he not do it in the ring? He's not really a true trained professional wrestler. You know what I mean? He's but it doesn't matter because he's making you invested. He's making you care. He's making you want to see this. He's making me want to see this match. That's for sure. And like you said, he had a great match against Adam Cole. They made it very exciting and entertaining. And I have no doubt that with hopefully a little bit of an appearance by Mr. McMahon, that this will be a moment-stealing match at WrestleMania. I'm not just saying it's going to take over everything and overshadow everything, but just one of those memories where you go, hey, remember that?
Justin, do you still consider Pat McAfee a celebrity guest for WrestleMania? And if so, is he the best celebrity they've ever had?
I don't think of him as a celebrity only because now that he's on every Friday as part of the NXT team, I don't think he
doesn't qualify.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have that outsider coming in feel, but I do still think the purpose of the celebrities dating back to WrestleMania 1, Pat still fits that. That's kind of like this weird happy medium. Pat hopefully is gaining credibility with the audience that he's on Friday nights every week with Michael Cole, and he sounds like he's commentated on the product, but he also still has one of the most popular talk shows out there and podcasts. So he still does that celebrity role of trying to bring in a new fan or a casual fan or a lapsed fan. So he's it's kind of actually the best of both worlds. You get the celebrity rub, but you get a guy that you can trust. You get a guy that's there at TV every week that knows the motions, that you're not going to have to have a handler with. Even back in the day, it would be Pat Patterson would be handling some of the outside people coming in, and okay, we want and trying to speak wrestling to them and get them to understand what you want. You don't have to do that with Pat. Pat knows everything you need to do. He's there, but again, hopefully he's pumping it every day on the show. He's able to bring in some additional eyes. So it's really the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I just watched that guy and I'm like, man, his commentary is great. He crushes it when he does promos. And like I said, his matches were great also. Like it's almost a shame he was a football player. He would have been a great pro wrestler. He should have, everything worked out for him, obviously, for the best. But man, talented.
He's an incredible storyteller. I mean, I'll say this to people: if you haven't got to hear a lot of Pat McAfee or whatever, it's a famous story that Pat McAfee fans know this. Look up the audio somewhere. Pat tells a story. Of course, he grew up here in Pittsburgh, so he knows the Steelers, but he played for the Colts. Pat tells a story of when the Colts were playing the Steelers, and he's out there on the field, and the play call was for it to be a fake punt. Okay, so he's going to get the ball, but he's not going to punt. He's going to fake it and try to convert. And he sees opposite him famous Steeler safety Troy Polamalu, who was just an absolute physical beast. He sees Polamalu, who the defense is reading. The defense he thinks has figured out this is a fake. And he sees how Polamalu's lined up. And McAfee's ready to call the audible not to have it be a fake anymore. Look up that story. The way he tells the story, you will be bent over laughing as he tells it. It's tremendous.
If I saw Polamalu looking at me in general, I would make sure I call whatever audible I need to not have him run at me. Because you're right. He is a specimen, even though he's been out for a while. Nope, not
timeout.
Someone else.
But we don't have any timeouts. I don't care. I'll take the penalty.
Let the play clock go down. Add 5 more yards. And have the coach change the decision.
There you go.
Brian Barry in the chat says, "What if Owens attacks Austin on his podcast?"
Well, but most of Austin's podcast has already been taped. His Broken Skull sessions have already been taped. I don't think there's any in the next week and a half until Mania. So, Brian, we're gonna have to just wait until we see Austin at Mania. I think that's part of the attraction, is to see the guy live in living color. And word has it he's he said it himself on Rich Eisen's show. And other word is he looks to be in pretty phenomenal shape for a 57-year-old. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And without seeing him, I trust him. I just wouldn't argue with Stone Cold.
He wouldn't be doing this unless he wouldn't have agreed to do this and to go out there and potentially even take his shirt off and start brawling if he didn't feel like he could put himself in the best possible position.
Right.
Yeah. Allison Tuckwab in the chat says, "It sucks that we don't have Devontae Adams, I'm guessing, anymore. I wish he would have took in the offer from the Packers. They even offered him a little more money to stay." He's a good player. We'll see. See how that works out. I would be a terrible GM because I would want to keep everybody, and I'm that person's like, no, but you're my player. I got to keep you forever. Players would love me, but fans wouldn't. So we move on. RK Bro.
We got one more from Brian Cyrus saying Shaq's going to confront Omos.
Oh, sorry, Brian. I missed that one. Yeah. Shaq confronts Omos at WrestleMania. Well, actually, that could be kind of fun to see. But
Shaq, obviously, we last saw him in AEW, working with Jade and working with Cody and them. But maybe if Cody was his connection into AEW, and Cody ain't there anymore.
So maybe they'll be a tag team together, Shaq and Cody. Nah, probably not. RK Bro versus Alpha Academy. We get some Randy chants early on in the match, and we got a great promo, as always, from Chad Gable. RK Bro gets the win. Otis beats up Riddle a little bit before the Street Profits save them. Nope. They take out RK Bro also. Jimmy, I'm going to start with something. Randy Orton. I mean, RK Bro is over, but people love Randy Orton. I know he's got some stuff to do with RK Bro still, but he feels like he's on world title trajectory with the way people like him.
That's quite possible, but at the same time, you can tell that this iteration of Randy Orton, we talk about guys that are enjoying themselves, and you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their mannerisms, you can feel it on them. Randy Orton is truly enjoying himself right now, and Randy Orton doesn't get enough credit for helping other talent, which he has done a lot over the years. And what he's doing now is he's helping get Riddle over, and he's helping get Chad Gable is hitting all strides right now. He is in a zone, man. I'm loving him right now. And I wasn't a big fan of having this non-title match prior to WrestleMania. Yes, I know it's a triple threat match or a triple threat tag team match at WrestleMania, but at the same time, it just doesn't sit with me. Either make it a title match or don't have the non-title match prior to Mania. But other than that, good match. Set the tone for everybody with the Street Profits coming in after you think they're making the save for the baby faces because they're technically baby faces themselves, but then they go after RK Bro as well. I like the way this is setting up, and I think this is going to be a very fun match to watch.
Yeah, Justin, I want to get your thoughts on the Street Profits, because it does look like they're starting to cross over to the other side of the tracks, so to speak.
Yeah, which I'm not. I hope it's just a temporary thing, so that way you can get a little heat and conflict infused in this match at Mania. But I hope at the end of the day, whatever the outcome is, that there's some handshake and some babyface respect. The Street Profits are very over as a babyface team. They're a good live event act. Again, once Mania is done and some people go back home and you start to get closer to the dog days of summer, I would not want to strip them of that babyface booking right now. That just seems ridiculous. So hopefully this is just, again, tensions rising for the sake of the match, but they go back to being dancing through the crowd and stuff.
Right.
Who are the other tag teams on Raw that aren't in this team triple threat? Is there
the Viking Raiders, the Dirty Dogs?
Are Viking Raiders Raw? I guess they are Raw.
Yeah,
I think they are.
Yeah. Ziggler and Rude.
Yeah. Because I was trying to think if maybe
Ray and Dominic.
Oh yeah, Ray and Dominic. Yeah, I was wondering if then maybe becoming bad guys would line them up better with other people, but it seems like it's pretty even when we kind of go through them. It doesn't seem like they're heavy on one side, so we'll definitely see there. Brian Barry has a question for you, Justin. He asks, so Justin, what's your take on Matt Ryan going to the Colts?
I mean, the guy's in his late 30s, coming off his worst season of his career. I mean, maybe I don't know the Colts team well enough right now to know what he's going to be working with, but it's not. I didn't want the Commanders to get Matt Ryan. That's the best answer I can give you.
Yeah. I have nothing against Matt Ryan, but I definitely feel like I if you're going for Matt Ryan, I almost feel like I'd rather you just take a risk on a draft pick.
Which they still. That's the thing. When some of these teams, and same thing with Washington, with the Commanders. Even when these teams do sign these guys, Carson Wentz. Okay, he's much younger, but it's still shaky and unproven. Matt Ryan's older, veteran, been to the Super Bowl, but it's like they could still draft a quarterback and then have that quarterback sit for a year and learn behind these. So it doesn't mean that might be the strategy for both Washington and or Indianapolis. We don't know, but
I just always think if you don't have a guy that you think is going to be the guy, then I'd rather just sit it out and not, because I feel like Matt Ryan's going to win you too many games and cost you draft picks down the road, maybe. But I don't know. Again, I'd be a bad GM, so what do I know? Dana Brooke and Reggie team up to take on Akira and Tamina, and it's a mixed tag team this time. It was kind of weird because Reggie got the pin, but Dana keeps the title. But Jimmy, I am just pulling for Akira here. Do you think he can find love?
Well, I don't know if Tamina is in the stars for
find love.
He's wooking Penub in all the wrong places right now. But again, this accomplished what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a fun little, comedy segment, and for the most part, it was entertaining for what it was.
Yeah,
and it served two purposes. It was that bridging that gap between the match prior, the tag match and everything going on to the main event. So it was kind of like that little break in the action and served its purpose. And again, the 24/7 championship right now has become the comedy segment of the show. And tonight wasn't too bad.
Justin, every time I see the 24/7 title, my honest thought is I am shocked it lasted so long, and it feels like it's going to be around for a lot longer.
Yeah, I mean, this started in the summer of 2019, I think, when it was one of those things that, like, they were trying to do a lot of things because numbers were just continuing to dip, and supposedly USA execs were trying to get involved of let's get some spontaneity, and I can't believe it's still around either, because everything else they tried at the time quickly. There was a time where, who was it? Was it The Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn was like taking like live questions from the audience, and like some audience member asked something that was a no, and then they tried to do a thing where like the third hour Raw was like different graphics and supposed to be different branding. And then there's Raw, and all that stuff. So I am surprised it still lasts. I don't really care for this segment. It is what it is. But I will say I give credit to Tamina and to Kira because I feel like they are trying really hard just to own it and just make the best of it.
Yeah. And that 24/7 rule has been around for a long time, though, in different iterations. And as someone who has been a part of it, if I may, one of my favorite instances was counting a pinfall in the APA office when Mr. Gerald Briscoe pinned Crash Holly. It was fun. It was even fun for someone like me to do something like that. It was kind of cool.
That would be fun. That'd be an interesting trivia to see if anyone could name all the hardcore title champions. Wow. I couldn't do it.
One of the funnest hardcore matches ever with the same kind of thing was with Jimmy. It was Mania 17 with Raven and Kane and who's the other one? Big Show.
Big Show. The golf cart.
And the golf carts crashing. And then they're huffing it to run down the backstage corridor.
What happened?
Jimmy, tell the story. It's great.
No, really quickly. Raven jumps in the golf cart to escape, and Big Show jumped on the back. And when he jumped on the back, he pulled the front wheels off the ground, so he couldn't steer it. And Raven ended up driving it into a fence. And then here we come, and they start running down the hallway. And then Kane puts me on the back of the second golf cart, and he's driving, so I'm getting chauffeured by Kane around the back of the Astrodome there, and Raven falls down, and Kane kind of half runs him over. It was crazy.
I don't know if it was the time or my age or something, but the hardcore title was fun. I thought it was a really fun title.
Well, and what was cool is I was at that Mania. It's in the Astrodome, like Jimmy said. I'm at that Mania. Normally, when you're at things live, when there's that much action backstage, you sometimes even hear boos. You're kind of like because you want to see it live. But I was so entertained watching the screen that I didn't even care that this. It's like when Jimmy says they crash into a fence, the backstage, like the floor was elevated, and like he drove it into the point to where like it dropped. It was like dropped into like a gutter off the floor into a fence.
And along that gutter were power cables. By the way.
Oh, really?
So yes, and everybody went. Oh! There was a big gasp.
Yeah, they knocked Mania off the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Alan Jones in the chat asks, anyone checked on Alfred since Adams left the Packers? Alfred. Sorry, not Alfred.
He'll be with us Wednesday night. He and I after Dynamite. We'll see we'll see if he shows up. We'll see if he can muster enough.
So we'll see. You definitely got to tune into the after show on Wednesday. But we get to the main event here, and it's AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. This is a banger of a match. I don't know if these guys know how to have a bad match with each other, but of course it ends when Edge hits AJ in the back with a chair. Therefore, AJ Styles wins. Therefore, AJ Styles is going to face Edge as we all thought he would. And Seth Rollins still without a match, Justin.
Still without a match, and he said this is BS and said it all uncensored and tearing apart the place like it's Brett in the 90s. You're interested. It's the same thing I'll say last week. They have not said, WWE has not at one point at all said Cody Rhodes this is all of us. Any disappointment, it's all of us on our own. Now, I think they wouldn't be allowing these vocal Cody chants and screams to be happening. They would make it go away if they had to. If that was going against the plan, they're not. Which again, to me, is a telltale sign that that's what we're getting. But they've kind of allowed people just to create the match in their head, and they're just riding that wave. And I, quite frankly, I don't think I'll see Cody in Pittsburgh here next week. I think that they will. At this point, draw it. Whether they announce it and we just see a video, or whether it's what we said earlier, show up and your Mania opponent will be there waiting. I don't know. That'd be unusual because they normally don't do that for Mania. Even John Cena calling out Undertaker, we knew who he was calling out and who he wanted. They normally don't say tune into Mania. It's going to be a mystery opponent. They normally like to advertise everybody they have So we'll see. But I'm interested. We're talking about it every week. We've been talking about it.
It does, and Jimmy, it does remind me a little bit of AEW when they were bringing in CM Punk, and they never said CM Punk, but we all kind of knew, and the fun of it, and I'll let you speak on this, is that we may know, quote unquote, know who we think it's going to be, but we still don't know. And that's what makes it exciting. It's like Christmas when you think you know what's in the package, but you don't know what's in the package until you open it. I feel like that's kind of what they're doing.
No, absolutely. And I like the fact that WWE is letting this play out without really giving it away. And you're seeing that the reaction that Cody is getting is resonating with that audience. They want to see it, or else they wouldn't be chanting his name, So this is, like I said, very interesting earlier here's someone who with the other company was getting booed for whatever reason it was, because that hardcore audience didn't accept him for whatever reason, but going the other way, it's kind of like people want to see what's going to happen. As do I want to see what this current iteration of Cody Rhodes is. And can you imagine, they save it, like you said, just until WrestleMania, and just for the first night, the music hits and it's just American Dream. He's just a common man, or something like that. And or they don't have to go that far, they do the beginning of the American Dream music, then hit the Cody music and go from there. And like you said, they can do a grand entrance and something incredible, and even do a takeoff where maybe he is on a throne.
Oh, that'd be great.
Something like that.
I cannot wait to see Cody Rhodes if he does. I still say I don't know. I feel like rumors fly around. Just like I love that Rollins might be one of my favorite guys going right now in wrestling. I love that when they were chanting Cody out, he was like, "Hey, rumors don't make moments." And I was like, that's so great how he acknowledged it, but then shut them all up at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too. If it wasn't, and if they were concerned about it, they wouldn't have brought it up, or Seth would not have mentioned it on the air. Let's put it that way. He didn't mention him by name, but he did reference the rumors out there.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't him, he would have said something like, "Oh, I want someone better than that," or whatever. He would have squashed it.
Right.
But to that point, I don't fantasy book very often, but I almost feel like they should. When the NWO came to Nitro, or when Scott Hall, and he was like, "You don't know who I am, or you know who I am, but not why I'm here," and he'd always, "I'm from New York," and he would always imply he was from WWE, but never actually say it. What if they reverse that? And what if Seth Rollins is like, "Hey, there's this guy who thinks he's elite. I want to have him fly up here from Jacksonville and really show if he's as good as he thinks he is," and not actually say AEW, but imply that he's challenging AEW to a match at WrestleMania. But I don't know. I think that'd be fun. I'd like that.
I mean, that's probably as far as Vince would allow it to go. He's never going to allow him to utter the letters AEW. But I mean, it's interesting because I think one thing that we're not even talking about, it's kind of all in our subconscious, is part of why this is like, Seth has been, when AEW was on the rise these last couple of years, Seth was waving the WWE flag perhaps the loudest. He would, in different interviews or in social media, he would say, "I'm the best wrestler in the world." And I think at one point, one Raw, or I don't know if he said Raw or if he said WWE as a whole has the best wrestling of any other company. Like he really touched the nerve with an AEW hardcore fan base who felt that they have the best wrestlers. So there's a subconscious thing here of like, Cody's coming from there. So it's kind of like, this is the first person Cody wants. Okay, Cody's back in the door. Okay, I heard you talking some shit. All right, I guess you're gonna be the first one that I'm. I don't know. There's a subconsciously there's a dynamic there that whether or not they explore it verbally in any promos or it just remains something that's in our subconscious. But that's what I think works so well about this. Is Seth was very vocal as he was Team WWE, and there's this new shiny thing over here, but this is still the top company. This is still the company that has a WrestleMania. This is still where every wrestler, even in AEW, wants to ultimately be. That may not be true to every wrestler, but that's still the perception that he was going to continue it with.
Either way, I'm so excited. I think it'll be so exciting. I can't wait. WrestleMania is such a fun time. Allison in the chat adds, I wish Devontae Adams would have stayed with the Packers. They offered him a little more money to stay.
Well,
that's the tough part about salary caps is you can't keep them all.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with my Titans than anything else, and that comes from somebody living in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, who's a Titans fan. And it's funny because JBL asked me, he posted something last week, and he asked me, how did you become a Titans fan? And I said, well, it goes way back to the days I was a Houston Oilers fan, way back in the days of Dan Pastorini, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Earl Campbell, who, as Richard Pryor used to say, Earl Campbell used to run and people would be hanging off his back and they'd be whispering in his ear in his helmet, please, Earl, go down. My kids are watching on TV. Please go down. And stuff like that, man. I was just a big fan of them. And when they moved to Tennessee and became the Oilers or the Titans.
I've always been a Seahawks fan, but the Titans were my side team for a little bit when Jeff Jarrett used to wear their jersey out all the time. But
Jimmy, who's your hockey team? Are you Leafs?
Yeah, I'm a Leafs fan. Yeah.
Good God, you guys underperform every year.
I'm one of the few people here in Toronto who was alive the last time they won the cup, so that tells you I've aged. Yeah,
I've never seen my Kraken win the cup. So,
well, when did they release the Kraken? So
so they're still new. They got
time. How tired are you of hearing that though?
You never get tired of hearing your team. It's funny. I can't really claim. I haven't watched any of their games. I can't really claim I'm a fan of theirs. They're just from my hometown. Sheed Black in the chat says Rollins told Omega to come to WWE.
Oh.
Sure he did. That Kenny Omega fella.
I've heard of him.
Pretty good.
I've heard of him.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Him and Rollins would have some bangers too, but that does it. I mean, that's the show. We covered it. Like I said at the top, it felt like this is one of those shows that we're going to easily forget, but everything did actually kind of do its part along the way. It just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't exciting to me.
Yeah, it helped further things along without being like a real wham, if you know.
Yeah.
The kaboom. Where's the earth-shattering kaboom?
Yeah. So it is all right though. Any final thoughts? Everyone in the chat, any final thoughts? Let us know what you guys thought. But Justin, Jimmy, any final thoughts on this week's episode? As we got one more Raw before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean they certainly have a lot set up for next week for the go home show. I mean I've said this for years that sometimes I think that the Raw that is 2 weeks out from Mania, so this one, that's always a hit or miss Raw in my mind, because as you're booking WrestleMania, which is a long road to Mania, it starts in January essentially. When you're booking Mania, and you're trying to time things out, where you want things to be for the go-home show. What the final, at that point all matches are made. What the last thing you want everybody to see on that last Raw is before Mania starts. That week prior can be one of two things. It can either be crazy crash TV because, oh my God, we got to hurry up and get the story to where we need it for the go-home, or we don't need it to do anything. We just need to kind of let it stay on neutral this week until we can get to the go-home. So This Raw, and this is traditional. You can go back every year, and it kind of proves my point. This Raw is always a huge crapshoot. It's one way or the other. You get some, and overall, I thought the first hour was really exciting to Raw. The second hour kind of dipped down. The third it picked it back up. Especially with the Seth AJ match.
Yeah. Well, we continue the road. Tomorrow, there is a Wrestling Inc. after show for NXT tomorrow. Then we've got the after show on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. And then we've got
Chair Shot Reality Reunion.
Chair Shot Reality Reunion on Thursday. That'll be fun. Everyone needs to check that out. And then, of course, we get the SmackDown and Rampage after shows and all that good stuff.
And real quick, I will actually pull something up real quick. It's a sneak. This is one. There's many. We have tons of archive clips that we're going to show. People from Matt Hardy to Vince Russo to Adam Cole, Britt Baker. We're going to show a lot of our archive clips of Josh and I from the early days in the Wayne's World basement. A lot of different visuals we're going to share, as well as talk about the current landscape of what's going on. One visual that I will share that we're going to show on the show, I'm just going to show it now. You'll see why. Show on the show is. That is a vintage 2012 in Miami. That is the PWR crew of Damian Nelson and Dave Hero from Milwaukee. That is Josh and me from Chair Shot Reality, and then that is Arda and Jimmy from doing their Right After Wrestling up in Toronto. This was like the mega podcast that was done live in Miami.
You guys are all kids.
Oh my goodness. Well, they are. but you know, that's almost like the Mega Powers reunion. Man, that was, oh my goodness! Like I totally forgot about that until you just showed me that picture. That was awesome. That was a good trip, man. That was awesome.
That was.
Yeah. So you guys, everyone definitely has to tune in on Thursday. Check out the reunion show. That's gonna be a blast. Check it out. 8:00
Eastern time.
Mm-hmm. So 5:00 Pacific time, 8:00 Eastern time on Wrestling Inc.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere that you guys watch all these others. So the Wrestling Inc. YouTube, the Twitch, the Twitter, the Facebook will be everywhere you'd watch all of our normal podcasts here through Wrestling Inc. And the audio will be archived for audio only if you don't want to see our faces.
Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we did 400 something episodes and we never got to do a show live. It was always, I mean, we did even that show in Miami that I showed. For the people that showed up there, they got to see the taping happen, but it was still a taping. We still edited and produced it for then it to go out to the rest of the world. This is going to be a chance where whether it's 8:00 Eastern time in the U.S., 5:00 on the West Coast in the U.S., whether it's early in the 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning in the UK, like everybody anywhere in the world can all be part of this live, can comment, whatever. So that's the aspect we're really looking forward to. Is we won't be in a traditional TV studio as we always were. But the substitute is we get to have basically an extra co-host and all these fans, which is awesome.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, we definitely want to check that out. Brian Berry, by the way, last second question in the chat. How would y'all do Cody's return next week? Personally, I would just have Seth Rollins come out to start the show and say, I'm not leaving until I get a match. Lights go out. Cody's music hits. He comes out with his giant Homelander cape. And then they have a barn burner of a match. I'd keep it simple. But what about you guys? Any quick debut ideas?
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, save it for Mania. Save it for Mania, like you said, and do the entire grand entrance and the whole bit. And I don't think you need to go any further than that. Next week, if you want to do it on the Go Home Raw. Then you have Seth Rollins come out at the beginning of the Raw and say he's holding up the show, not letting it happen until he has a match. And then maybe you can do it there and announce it there. Or instead of having Cody there live on the screen saying, you want a match? You got it, kid.
Yeah, and next Monday's Raw, they have Brock and Roman both scheduled to be there live. So, and you have to remember, this is the SmackDown that's taking place in Dallas then later in the week. I don't know how they're going to book that SmackDown because then immediately following SmackDown is the Hall of Fame induction. So next Monday is truly what I look at is for, again, the final things they want, okay, we want you to purchase Peacock and watch us or purchase a ticket and come see it live. That's really happening next Monday. So I think they'd probably be more inclined to end with a Roman Brock segment because that ultimately is what's anchoring this whole thing. That's going to be what ends night 2. So I could see Seth holding hostage the show, and that's the big first quarter hour movement is Seth comes out there, holds it hostage. They try to get him out of it. They even cut to break, just to get into that second segment. And they come back. And then finally, however the reveal's done, whether it's music, logo, on the video, spoken by name, whatever. But I think that would be a hell of a way to start. And then, of course, you end with your top 2 guys.
Perfect. Well, I think that does it for us. I think we did the show. We did it. We got one more get together before WrestleMania. But make sure to follow at Wrestling Inc. On social media, at Justin LaBar, at Real Jack Farmer, at Jimmy Korderas. That's us. Give us a follow. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys working before we go? You guys working on anything you want to plug? Obviously, Chair Shot come back Thursday. Anything else you guys are working on? No, I'm going to be at Championship Wrestling, United Wrestling Network on Tuesday. We're recording here in LA.
Oh, nice.
New episodes premiering afterwards.
No, I guess other than my weekday ref and rants, which are only a minute long on my social media, you can find it at Jimmy Korderas or at Real Jimmy Korderas on Instagram. And actually, April 9th, myself and a good referee from up here as well, Harry D, are holding a seminar at the Battle Arts Wrestling Academy here in Mississauga, Ontario, which is just basically a suburb of Toronto. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of people there that I know, and it's kind of getting back into the swing of things. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not just for referees. It's also for talent who want to know how to use their referees.
Mm-hmm. Battle Arts Wrestling Academy sounds like one of the hardest places in the world.
Yeah, it's the Santino Marella place. You know, it's former Santino Marella, Anthony Corelli. Yeah. It's not only pro wrestling there. You know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts. They teach you everything there, and it's a great facility.
One of the greatest entertainers ever, Santino Marella.
Mm-hmm.
Serious, he was great. But
he'll be there that day as well.
But Justin, anything else you want to plug before we go?
I plugged WC. Yeah, chair shot this Thursday. Obviously Wednesday night after Dynamite, myself and Alfred Kanoa. So, yeah, busy next 2 weeks, which is great. And I think I'm here after both manias. I think so.
Oh, very cool. Lots of stuff going on. Follow at Wrestling Inc. and all of us on Twitter. That does it for us. We'll see you guys, I guess, tomorrow for the after show for NXT. See you then.